Europa Conference League kicks off this next week. So all European tournaments are now in play. So get ready for that. So once again, if you guys are not familiar, UEFA has completely changed the way that these tournaments have been run, which is kind of funny because Europa Conference League is the newest tournament. We've only had 3 of these tournaments already. So now for the fourth year, this is for the fourth year of Europa Conference League, it's going to be featuring the new format, which is similar to what Champions League and Europa League has done. So just to reiterate what happens, no more groups. It is just one giant table of 36 teams. There is still going to be drawings for these matches. Obviously, you get put in 4 pots, A, B, C, and D. And the pots are essentially to be deciding what matchup. So each club has to take on 2 teams from each pot, a home and away match. So it makes things fairly even for everyone. Everyone's dealing with the same quality of opponent. If you want to know how you get into the pots, it all depends on your UEFA coefficient. Your UEFA coefficient is just a number that they give you, stating how good of a team you are, depending on the league you're in, based on things of your league and your success, and all those things are incorporated to put you in your pot. So that's just pretty straightforward. Top 8 teams at the end of the group stage, or the league round. I don't know how they're calling it, but okay, group stage. I'm gonna keep calling it the group stage. Top 8 teams in the table will automatically advance to the knockout round, while 24th to 9th place play in a preliminary knockout, which means that they will face off against each other. Winner advances to the knockout round. This is the lowest league, but just so people understand, there's no one getting relegated to Europa Conference League. There's no team from Europa that's going to come down and now be playing in Europa Conference League. It is, if you're in this tournament, you're in this tournament. If you're out, you're out. There's no other way. So if you finish 25th and below, you're done with the Europa Conference League. And if you get eliminated from the preliminary round, you're done with the Europa Conference League. There's no Europa League coming into this tournament at all. This is how the tournament is going to be done. I think I've already said a lot of good things about the Europa Conference League. I think it opens up opportunities for clubs that don't get necessarily a fair shake at Champions League and even Europa League. So I think that this is great for those smaller clubs. They get a bit of that away from money. And I think that's a positive. Last year we got to see Olympiacos win the Europa Conference League, and you saw how amazing the Olympiacos fans went after winning that trophy. So you see what it means to those kind of clubs, and I think that's one of the things I'm glad that the Europa Conference League is still part of the 3 tournaments for UEFA. So I'm happy that it's going. So that's what benefits is those teams that don't necessarily get their moment. This is where they get the moment. And I think now that it's more open, especially the way that this format is now, I'm still gonna try to see if I like it or not. I'll make my final assessment at the end of these tournaments. But I think so far I do like what I'm seeing. I think it is there is some positives with it. Yes, they added 2 additional matches, and some people, with schedule condition and all things. And I know we just talked about that a little bit. But we talked about it last week about schedule congestion, and I think there's just really no ways of getting out of it. But I don't think necessarily that's UEFA's fault. 2 matches from UEFA. I think there's other issues. Obviously, the FIFA Club World Cup is one that I've actually spoke out a lot more on. And I think obviously the just too much going on. I think maybe we have to figure out, leagues need to figure things out, how to necessarily go about it. But I think that it's still important to have European competition representation at the end of the day. But who is playing in the Europa Conference League? So we have APOEL, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, if I can't pronounce the team, I'm sorry. I just don't watch you guys enough. That's all I got to say. All right, but APOEL, Astana, Başakşehir, Borak, Celje, Cercle Bruges, Chelsea, I know how to pronounce that, Copenhagen, Dynamo Minsk, Djurgården, Fiorentina, can't pronounce that, Ghent, pronounce that, Hearts, I know how to say that, Heidenheim, HK Helsinki. Okay, I'm done, guys. Jagiellonio, Jagiellonia, Jagiellonia. I butchered that one definitely. Larny, Lask, Legia Warsaw, Lugano, Malda Boleslav, Molde, Noah, Olympia, uh, Ammonia, Paphos. This is a Greek team. I just know it. Panathinaikos, Petroclub. I can pronounce that. Real Betis. I'm sorry. Shamrock Rovers, SK Rapid, St. Gallen, the New Saints. That just sounds kind of cool. TSC, Vikinger, Reykjavik, and Victoria SC. So those are the teams that are being featured in the Europa Conference League. My team to watch for the Europa League, and I think I'm gonna say this because of the fact that I just recently used them. Actually, I used them for last year's EAFC 24. Still waiting to play FC 25. I think by the time that this episode drops, I'll finally have been able to play FC 25. So we'll see how I feel about FC 25 because I did buy it. I know some people are probably saying you're an idiot, and I agree. But I'm gonna say Molde. Molde, I actually got to play with them last year for FC 24. If you guys don't know how I do FC when I do career mode, I do two different types of career modes. I do the well, no, I didn't say. Did I say two? No, like I do three types of career modes. I do where I retire an active player. Sometimes a player that I like. Sometimes just I find the oldest player in the league and I just make him retire, and then they become a manager. I do that. Then I do obviously the Road to Glory, where obviously you pick a team from the from League Two in the English system, and you try to get them all the way up to the Premier League and try to win some titles. So I do that one, and the one that I do is I create myself as a manager. Yes, I know. And then I start with the Houston Dynamo. I try to win. I try to stay there for 3 seasons. 3 seasons I tend to find it to be a good number. And then from there I go to whichever European offer is usually there. It's usually kind of like a rough situation, but yeah, I go into that. I then try to work my way to get into one of these like top clubs. And last year the way I had it was I went to the Dynamo, then I went to Molde. From there, I got the job for Benfica. Then I got the Celtic job. Then I got Bayern Munich. Actually, no, I didn't. I got Molde. I got Watford. So I actually came in halfway through Watford season. And then so I got them promoted to the Premier League. I left Molde to go to Benfica, then go to Celtic. Then I went to Bayern Munich, won the Champions League with Bayern Munich, and then I got the Real Madrid job. So at that point, Real Madrid was a completely different team. Like it was really weird looking. A lot of older players, a lot of guys that wanted just to get out, and so I got to rebuild Real Madrid and bring in like the new version of Los Galacticos with some regen players. So completely different. I mean, if you guys want to do it, I recommend. It's kind of fun. But anyways, but yeah, so Molde, I'm gonna definitely keep an eye on them because obviously that's a lot of names came out of Molde as well. So we'll see if there's any promising stars at Molde. Player to watch, man. And I think it's going to be interesting because obviously how Chelsea at least approaches this tournament. This is essentially Cole Palmer's a way we can showcase Cole Palmer if they choose to play Cole Palmer. I think at least the way Chelsea's doing it, they're rotating the squad out, which they still have like a lot. They spend a lot of money on a lot of players, so I'm going to say Cole Palmer. I really liked what I've seen from Cole Palmer, and I want to keep seeing how he progresses. So he's definitely a player that I want to keep an eye on if he ends up playing in this tournament. My dark horse. This gets really tricky, man, because I don't really know many of the clubs in here. And I'm not gonna say I'm not picking Molde. But I think a good dark horse will be Real Betis. I think obviously things aren't looking too great for them right now in La Liga. It's still early in La Liga, but I think that this is one of those tournaments that they could probably try to flourish in. I think their style of play could definitely help them out in this tournament, and they could maybe not being looked at as a heavy favorite. I know it's kind of unfair to say because Real Betis probably has better resources than some of the clubs that are in this tournament, but um, I think a lot of people have this one team in particular. I mean, you can even mention Fiorentina, who was in the final back to back, this past year and the year before. So, I mean, are they going to finally be able to get over the hump of winning? Actually win the whole thing is probably one thing. But yeah, my dark horse is Real Betis. I think they can be a really good sleeper team for this tournament. And then my favorite to win this whole thing. Look, I'm just gonna be honest, man. If Chelsea does not win this thing, the banter club discussions are gonna be stronger more than ever. There's already a banter club discussion for Chelsea, but it's gonna be stronger more than ever if they cannot win the Europa Conference League. I'm just gonna say that. So yeah, that's my favorite to win it. Is gonna be Chelsea. It has to be like all the money that I'm pretty sure all the money that Chelsea has spent is probably more than combined some of these clubs are in this tournament. So um it's just not fair to everybody else. But I mean, Chelsea spent all this money. It's got to work eventually, right? That's all I gotta say. That's all I got. Dang, I got hiccups now. Oh man, I'm really hoping that this doesn't keep going while I'm recording this because I am not trying to stop. So I'm gonna hopefully I'm done having hiccups. But we'll go. But all right, that's the Europa League.